Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to our weekly broadcast, and welcome to Balance with Dr. Shola. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about guarding your heart. A lot of times, the Bible says in the book of Proverbs, guard your heart, for out of it flows issues that pertain to life. And when I'm talking about your heart here, I'm not talking about your physical heart that pumps the blood. I'm talking about, everybody talk about your heart when they say things like, the heart wants what the heart wants, or I can feel it in my heart. That's the heart I'm talking about. Basically, your heart, what some people refer to as your soul. It's intangible seat of your emotions, your will. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about your heart, not your physical heart. Talking about your physical heart, that's a completely different topic for a completely different day. But tonight I'm going to be talking about 10 ways to guard your heart. The Bible says, guard your heart, for out of it flow issues that pertain to life. Your heart, your thoughts, your emotions. So now when people hear guard your heart, a lot of times they think you're talking about putting up walls around yourself so that you can't get hurt. The truth is that building up walls around yourself doesn't prevent you from getting hurt. It just, makes you a better pretender, I think. Anyway, again, that's not what this is about. Nothing could be farther from the truth if you think that guarding your heart means just putting up walls around your emotions and around yourself. Guarding your heart means not allowing bitterness and negativity and resentment to live inside your heart, to be part of your emotions, to be part of your soul. And here are 10 ways by which you can do this. And like I said, I always write things down so that I don't wander off track and keep on talking for hours. So I'm going to be, looking and talking about the different ways to guard your heart. Number 1, mind your associations and your relationships. Your relationships can make or break you. The people that you associate the closest with can bring you positivity, or they can bring negativity. And it's up to you to decide what you want in your life when you decide who your closest friends and associates are going to be. Mind your relationships so that they don't kill the light that's in you with negativity. So, the people around you, your closest people, friends, are they always talking stories about what's wrong with the world? They live lives of bitterness, resentment, and negativity. Hi. Trying to see who's there. I'm talking about guarding your heart, and the first point is minding our associations and our relationships. That's number 1. Number 2, pay a close attention to what you watch, read, and listen to. The news, the naysayers, the carriers of doom and gloom, even the fiction that we watch. Hi, Manuel, how are you doing? Even the fiction that we watch or listen to constantly can have an effect on the state of our heart. If you're constantly watching stories of doom and gloom, eventually some of that will sink into your heart and will change the way you view the world. Now, number 3, acknowledge and deal with negative emotions. Don't let them take root. The Bible talks about not letting a root of bitterness reside in our heart. That's what it's talking about. You have to acknowledge and deal with negative emotions. Now, the presence of negative emotions does not make you a moral failure. The presence of negative emotions is not a character flaw. It doesn't mean that it's not a sign of mental illness either. It just means that you're human. For example, if a poisonous spider were to walk into your room, you wouldn't. So there's some extreme reactions, right? Okay, you know it's poisonous, so you could just go ahead and ignore it. Maybe not a good idea because it could bite you. Or you could go ahead and burn your house down. The so-called normal or right reaction is somewhere in the middle. Maybe kill it or, chase it out of the house, some bug spray or something. You won't burn your house down. At the same time, you won't ignore it. Apply this metaphor to your emotions. You don't ignore them, especially negative emotions. You don't just ignore them, but at the same time, you don't overreact and, go wilding out there because maybe you're angry at something or sad about something. The correct reaction is somewhere in the middle. If you keep suppressing your emotions, over time, once they reach a certain critical mass, it will boil over into resentment or even explosive outbursts. So acknowledge and deal with negative emotions. Number 4, Have a circle of trust that you can vent to, who can help you bear your burdens. When you have burdens in your heart, have a circle of trust. I have people that I know at any point in time that I can call up if something is weighing me down. You see, and that prevents me from just taking my problems to all and sundry and people who don't care. Have you ever been sitting in a bus stop or standing there minding your own business and someone just walks up to you and starts telling you all the bad things that are going on with them? Yeah. They have nobody to vent to. Have a circle of trust. People that you know what, I need to unburden right now. And it helps. The Bible talks about bearing each other's burdens. When you feel something is too heavy for you, heavier load on your heart, have someone that have a circle of trust, that of people you can talk to. Number 5, do not violate your conscience. Don't go against your own principles. Your own moral principles, because this leads to a spirit of heaviness in your own heart. Be clear on your principles and stick to them as they guide your life. Number 6, pray. Jesus said, for my yoke is easy and my burden light. Sometimes you have to just let go and let God. Choose to walk the path of light and love. Prayer can guide you. Prayer will guide you into this path. And the reason to pray, sometimes people pray like, I have to have my quiet time. And they do it as a religious exercise. Like, if I don't have my quiet time, I can't leave my house. Or I've heard people say things, if I don't pray before I leave my house, I get cranky all day, or they feel something bad is going to happen to them or something. The whole point of prayer is to connect with the divine, to get closer to God, so that more love, more light, more peace can fill your heart. It's not to check off, and I had a good quiet time today, check box. That is not the point. So prayer is very important in guarding your heart. Now, number 7, realize the things you can control and the things that you cannot. Sometimes if something you can't control, getting mad about it and just filling your heart with this impotent rage is not going to help you. If you can change it, change it. If you cannot, you may have to accept some things. And if a situation is unacceptable, remove yourself from the situation. But there are some things you control and there are some things you cannot. Do the best to control the things that you can and pray about the rest. Letting go and letting God. Number 8, set boundaries over what you will allow or not allow in your life, and make yourself responsible for enforcing your boundaries. If your boundaries are disrespected or overridden constantly, this can lead to resentment towards the offending parties. Let me give you an example. Somebody's always asking you for stuff, always asking you maybe to do something. I have somebody I know always asking me to come for this, to do that, to help them out with this, And one day I was taking stock of my relationship with this person over the last more than 10 years. And I realized something, that this person has never ever done anything for me before. Never. Except it's a business thing, where a business thing, I pay him. So basically, I pay them, them. Okay. I pay them and they, provide a service. But I realized that over the years, I've given and given and given and given and given. And I realized, you know what? Let's it takes a lot for me to sacrifice my time, my energy, etc. to do things for you. Let me pay closer attention to this situation so that I am not taken advantage of, because it's up to you to enforce the boundaries upon your life so that you don't get resentful. When I realized, I was like, okay, if I keep going to this and giving this particular person, I'm going to end up becoming resentful if I feel that, it's in the relationship is not mutual. So that's what I'm giving an example of, enforcing boundaries. So, let's hold off on this excessive giving a little bit and see where this is going. And it's not revenge, because here's the thing. If I'm giving to you, I don't have time to give to the other people who actually do support me, who actually do, who are giving to me. So I don't want them to look at me as a person who's not giving them, right? So anyway, kind of digress a little bit there. Set your boundaries and you're responsible for enforcing them. If you are resentful about boundaries you haven't set, then it's all on you. You set your boundaries, you enforce them without any guilt. Number 9, refuse to live a life of offense, malice, and unforgiveness. Be quick to forgive, just let them go. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to go and sit in their house and eat and drink and forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. It doesn't always mean trust. People say forgive and forget. Quite frankly, that statement is crap. Yes, I said it. Forgive, but don't forget what got you into that situation in the first place, and enforce boundaries if need be. There's some minor things that you should quote unquote forget about. You know, maybe, I don't know what examples I can think of. There's some things that are minor issues that don't affect relationships, but there are some things, especially that has to do with, you know, physical danger, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, because there's spiritual abuse, or any kind of mental abuse. Those are situations that you have to remove yourself from. Even though you've forgiven, but you still have to remove yourself. There may not be any relationship, even though you've let the person go and you've, you know, as it were, left them to God. Refuse to live in offense. Choose an attitude of joy. You know, don't be that person that's not talking to 20 people. I'm not talking to him. This one, I'm not talking to him. This one, I'm not talking to him. This one, come on. Are you the only person in the world? Guess what? If you're not talking to 20 people, it's not them, it's you. If 20 people are offended at you, or a whole swath of people, it's not them, it's you. Look inward. Refuse to live a life of offense. Just sometimes you just have to be like, oh, like Jesus said on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay? Refuse to live a life of unforgiveness and malice. Okay? So, learn to be self-aware so you know when you're the one that's the problem. Now, last but not the least, number 10, develop an attitude of gratitude. Let me tell you something. Gratitude is the antidote to grumpiness. Gratitude brings joy. It displaces any negativity and resentment from your heart, because wherever you are, if you are watching this right now, guess what? You have a lot to be grateful for. You have the internet. You can interact with other people. You have a Facebook. There are places where people, their internet is so censored, they can't even, you know, get information. You will be amazed when you look into your life and find there are little things to be grateful for. Like I said to somebody, if you have food, clothing, and shelter, you are rich. If you have family, health, if you have family or friends, you are super rich. If you have a job and you have health, oh my goodness, you are a gazillionaire, okay? There is a lot to be grateful for. And as you live a life of gratitude, you will, as time goes by, you will start to, even your own mind will start to rewired to see the good in everything. And let me tell you something. One of the ways to guard your heart, seeing the good in everything, displaces all kinds of resentment, bitterness, and negativity. So, share please, in what ways do you guard your heart? And I'd like to invite you to check out my website, www.sholashade.com. for, you know, the transcript of this video will be available on there tomorrow. And I'd also like to invite you to join. I'm doing a live video course called the Gyrate course. It's called Get Your Act Together. You might have been seeing the posts, and I'd like to invite you to join. It's at bit.do/gyrate. So thank you very much. I will see you next week, and stay blessed. And guard your heart, because out of it flow the issues that pertain to life. Thank you.